BBOR Black Box Online Radio, coming to you from West Virginia. BlackBoxNed88 on Instagram for the bonus podcast. And just a quick reminder, every Monday is Zodiac Mondays. Wednesday is an Ask Me Anything. That's an AMA, so please drop your questions below for things that you would like discussed here on the show. And Friday is an Anything Goes. Any subject is fair game, mostly talking about true crime, serial killers, the Zodiac Killer, but any subject is welcome. All right, so please share some ideas in the comment section about what you would like to hear about on this channel, and let's get started. Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to this breaking news bulletin from BlackBoxOnlineRadio. First, I need to say to anyone who listens to these things regularly as they come out, today is a Friday, and there will be a regularly scheduled Anything Goes episode that will be coming out later. And if you're listening to this channel in the future, then you can feel free to like, subscribe, check out all of the Anything Goes subjects where anything is fair game. But I have to give a shout out to NPC Porky, who was the first person to alert me to the news that there have been letters sent under the name of the Chinese Zodiac Killer, and this is taking place in Albany, New York. First, giving a shout out to Meaw Media, that's Meaw, MEAWW.com, who says local news stations in Albany were told by police that a series of letters called under the name of the Chinese Zodiac Killer were not to be opened. And I was going through several news sources, whether it was from the New York Post or the Times Union, and I was trying to find out, well, what are these letters saying that have been mailed from the Chinese Zodiac Killer? And it really goes to show you that the forensics and the investigations are conducted rather differently today than they were back in 1969 when the first Zodiac Killer was operating, because the FBI has instructed the news stations not to open the letters that have been mailed, and they want to do this to preserve DNA. So the big reason why I wanted to do this bulletin here is, firstly, to share a big piece of news with you, but also to point out that the content of these letters at the time of this recording has not been made available to the general public. I mean, the news stations haven't even opened them according to what has been shared to us. So if anybody is online sharing something about a theory, or they're making up some type of story about how this could all fit together into their Zodiac theory, the content of those letters has not been revealed yet. I don't even think the media knows what's in them. But to continue with that article, Albany, New York, a number of news stations in Albany have reportedly received a strange letter from someone claiming to be the Chinese Zodiac Killer, prompting the FBI to launch an investigation. This began on December 9th. The federal agency ordered the local outlets on Wednesday night, December 8th, not to open the letters, and instead look out for more such letters in the coming days. I do have to say that the concept of the Chinese Zodiac Killer sounds rather different than the Zodiac that was operating in California in 1968-69. It reminds me more of the New York Zodiac copycat, Eddie Seda, and I think he was actually trying to go after 12 victims, and his plan was just interrupted for... It's a long story, actually. I have an episode on Eddie Seda. I've also mentioned him in some of the Wednesday AMA shows if people would like to hear more about him, the New York Zodiac copycat. But with the Chinese Zodiac, there are, of course, 12 animal signs. My sign is a dragon, and if you go to a Chinese restaurant and you actually read the menus, you'll probably see that it goes year by year, but it follows the lunar cycle, if I understand this correctly, because I was born in 1988 and I'm a dragon, but I knew someone who was born in January of 1988, before the Chinese Lunar Festival, before the Spring Festival, I should say, and he said he spent his whole life thinking that he was a dragon, but he once he went to China and learned more about the Spring Festival and the cycles of the moon, he realized that he was a rabbit. The point is that there are 12 signs in the Zodiac: the dragon, the tiger, the pig, the monkey. But here is an interesting piece of news from Meaw as well, that all the stations that received the notes are based in Albany, New York. And the Zodiac did have the famous Albany letter, and there are multiple people in the conventional Zodiac world, I should say the canonical Zodiac world, who have connections to Albany, New York, most notably Darlene Ferrin, who was the victim of the Blue Rock Springs shooting on July 4th of 1969, and Richard Gaikowski, the Zodiac suspect, also had connections to Albany, New York, and the famous thing that you can read about him on the internet is that Gaikowski worked in the same building as Darlene Ferrin's husband, and people make all sorts of connections between the two of them. And one more reason why I wanted to do this little news bulletin here is because I wanted to share something that I read in the New York Post, and they were talking about how earlier this year, a group of investigators and law enforcement officials had identified the Zodiac killer as Gary Francis Post, a house painter from California who also had connections to Illinois. But Gary Francis Post is the suspect of the Case Breakers. I have 2 episodes about him and an AMA where I respond to your questions and comments. And I think the Case Breakers did a lot of damage. And they didn't do it on their own. It was mostly through Fox News and TMZ. These mainstream media outlets took their press release where they said that they had solved the case and they ran with it, and then the story caught on like wildfire. I think there's absolutely zero chance, maybe 0.001% chance that Gary Post was actually the Zodiac killer. But it just goes to show you that that story has not died down. They're still running with it because they had quote unquote law enforcement officials. What they're talking about is a group of 40 people called the Case Breakers, which claims to have some ex law enforcement officials as well as journalists such as Dale Julin, that they have their own suspect in the Zodiac killer mystery, Gary Francis Post. And I just don't believe that they have any credibility. They didn't present any strong evidence. They're just making stuff up to be silly, talking about that he has some lines on his forehead that match the composite sketch, that they compared a human being to a cartoon, and that they had a shadow on a piece of wood. And they said that that is their evidence. But I'd like to go to a different article from technotrends.com. The FBI has instructed Albany news organizations not to open a letter from the Chinese Zodiac killer. Again, if anyone is trying to say that they know the contents of these letters, if you're reading this over the weekend, at the time of this recording, it has not been revealed yet. This article from Technotrend says, this isn't the first time a note purporting to be from the Zodiac killer has been found in the area. In 1973, 4 years after the killer's last known murder, the Albany Times-Union received a note shortly after publishing a story about one of the infamous letters. You were wrong, I'm not dead or in the hospital. I am well, and I'm going to start killing again. Below is the name and location of my next victim. The note continued, but you had better hurry because I'm going to kill her August 10th at 5 p.m. When the shifts happened to be different, according to one paper, one of the Zodiac victims, Elizabeth Farron, previously lived in Albany, and this article is from Technotrends, but at least one other publication put that out. Elizabeth Farron is, of course, talking about Darlene Farron, but Darlene was her first name, not Elizabeth. I believe Elizabeth was her middle name, and she didn't even go by Elizabeth because her nickname was Dee or Dee Dee. So when the Gary Post story broke, and the media outlets were all just saying that the Zodiac killer has been identified, the case has been solved, you could tell that the people who were writing the articles weren't very familiar with the Zodiac world because they made numerous basic errors in this. And in all fairness, they are not experts, but they're just simply putting out basic incorrect information that they're getting the names wrong, the places wrong, the dates wrong. They're saying that this happened at this time. And when I did the series on the disappearance of Donna Lass, which just concluded yesterday, it was so much more important because it's not just getting somebody's middle name wrong, talking about the times of when somebody should have been going to work, the time that someone disappeared, the times in Donna Lass's daily life and routine, the location where she lived. All of that was incorrect, and it was very difficult to sort through all the media articles to find someone who had actually posted a genuine chronology of Donna Lass's activities, much the same with the Zodiac much the same with the Zodiac victims that get talked about in the media now, like Elizabeth Farron here instead of Darlene Farron. During the 1960s, the Zodiac killer terrorized San Francisco area, killing at least 5 people, and claims to have murdered 37 people in total. During the height of their assassinations, they sent over 20 taunting letters to the police and media. During the height of their assassinations? You're instantly assuming that there was more than one Zodiac killer? Unless, if their letters were not printed, the killer allegedly threatened them with more. What do you mean, their letters? The identity of the Zodiac killer has remained a mystery, but earlier this year a group of retired FBI agents known as the Casebreakers claimed to have enough evidence to identify the Zodiac as Gary Post, who died in 2018. No, sorry. The Casebreakers are a bunch of frauds. Absolutely not. Despite this group announcing their breakthrough in the case, 5 police and state agencies refused to cooperate when the Casebreakers approached officials last spring about a new Zodiac suspect. Well, I get approached by new Zodiac suspects every other week. I mean, I have probably 40 episodes this year alone on new Zodiac suspects. The FBI has other things to do than just listen to people running their mouths about, hey, look, I mean, if you compare this human being to this cartoon illustration done by Robert Graysmith, he looks kind of the same. And never mind that Graysmith wasn't a forensic artist, and never mind that the cartoon is wearing the Lake Berryessa costume, and the photo of Gary Post is not wearing any costume at all. Oh my goodness. If you or anyone you know has information about the case, please contact the Bureau at 323-421-7514, 323-421-7514. Okay, I think that'll bring us to the conclusion of this little news bulletin here. And as I said, please look out for the Anything Goes segment on Friday, which will come out later tonight, a longer one. So the point is, if someone is telling you that they have a reason to connect the Chinese Zodiac killer to their Zodiac theory, or that it's evidence of their hypothesis, or it proves them right, or that it is fueling any type of theory that they have, I would ask you to just approach it with a sense of skepticism, doubt. As of now, it appears that nobody has shared the content of those letters with the general public. The news agencies were instructed not to open them because the FBI wanted to preserve DNA to find out what is going on, and let's just wait and see. Okay, that's all from me now. Please look out for some future episodes on BBOR, and I will see you on Instagram for the bonus podcast. Until next time.